Shalom Aleichem, good morning, welcome to all those who braved the storm, Yasher Koyach to you. And all those who stayed after Shachris, they also count. Because he could have just ran back home and had some hot drink. Mitzvah Hashem will speak about Vayeshev, Shabbats, Hanukkah. We'll have some exciting riddles. I want to dedicate the shir to the Atzlacha ben Zion Mendoza, him and his family. Refuah Shalema, Tashach Eliyahu ben Chasya Chaya, B'soch Sh'ar Choylei Yisrael. Announcement. Next month, not now, still have a few more weeks. I'm Mitzvah Hashem going to be in the States speaking in different communities. There's still one Shabbos available, Parshas B'Shalach, if you know of any community that's interested, a shul or an event. One Shabbos is available, also a few weekdays are still available. So if anyone's interested, let me know. Let's start with the riddle Parshas Vayeshev. Yosef has some dreams and he tells them to his brothers. They don't seem to be so happy. The pasuk says, Vayisner Roisoi, they hated him. Later on, Perek Lamed Zayin, pasuk Yud Aleph, Vayekanu, they were jealous, so they hated him and they were jealous. Yaakov Avinu's response when he hears the dreams, Ve'aviv Shamar es hadavar. Rashi, he anticipated, he's waiting. When will this be fulfilled? Good. So the reaction of the brothers: hatred, jealousy. Father waiting to see when it's happening, and who was happy to hear Yosef's dreams. It doesn't seem that anyone is happy here, right? Yaakov is waiting. Let's see what happens. Doesn't indicate anything of happiness. Who was happy to hear Yaakov's dreams? What's that? Yosef's dreams, I'm sorry. Who was happy to hear Yosef's dreams when he shared it? Reuven was happy. Why is he happy?
Because he didn't dream that he's going to be in the...
Bereshis Rabbah. 2 points. Parsha Pei Daled Os Tetvav. The Medrash says, Reuven says, wait a second. He is counting me as part of the Shvatim. I was sure I was going to be rejected after what happened with Bila. I'm not a part of the 12 tribes. But in his dreams, he is counting me as one of the members of I'm part of the tribes. Givaldik. And I'm not going to save him? And that's why he decided, you know what? I'm going to save him. I'm going to save him. Reuven heard that he is counted. When he heard that the 11 that means I am counted with everybody else. If everybody else, I'm counted. I am part of the tribes. Reuven, even if it's not true, he loves me so much, I'm going to save him. That's why he saved him. You have to assume he was kind of happy when he heard it.
The star or the alumim? The people...
In his dreams, he's talking about me. I'm part of the members. I'm part of the Shvatim.
The star, maybe the star was related to someone else. Maybe Yosef would...
Soon we'll see who the star is. Soon we'll see. But here he understands that he's counting him as part of the Shvatim. And he says, even if it's not true, doesn't make a difference. Yosef loves me so much. Because he explains it to himself to mean that it's the 12 tribes, the 11 tribes other than him. Mimele, I'm part of the Shvatim. I'm going to save him. You want to say something?
Maybe it's because he was the Bechor, he was responsible. Maybe that's why he did it.
He was sure he's rejected from all the Shvatim. He's not part of the family anymore. So Yosef shouldn't have dreams about him. He's outcast. Since you did so good in the previous riddle, be careful you don't lose your points now. Another riddle.
Double or nothing.
Who's the Rebbe of Yosef HaTzadik? Who taught him everything? Yaakov Avinu. Can it be that Yosef also learned something from Esav? Esav is the Rebbe of Yosef HaTzadik. He sat with him and he gave him a class? You have a proof? Before I give you the points? You have a proof before I give you the points? I'm going to give you the points, but I prefer giving you a proof because then I'll be able to give you more points.
That's why he was afraid of Esav.
Says the Sefer Hasidim, the Rishonim. Simen Shin Mem Aleph. Vayomer Esav, hine anoichi hoylech lamus. When he sold the Bechora, I'm going to die. Velama li ze Bechora. Who cares? Who cares what goes on in Esav's mind? Why is the pasuk sharing this with us? The pasuk should have really said, Vayimko es bechoroso leYaakov. And he sold his firstborn's rights to Yaakov. Who cares what he was thinking? Oh, I'm going to die. Says Sefer Hasidim. This comes to tell us that Esav, where does he come from? He came from the field. He endangered his life and he's about to die. Why? For the sake of his father. And from here, Yosef HaTzadik learned, if Esav is willing to risk his life, for what? To get a good steak for his father, how much more so I should risk my life when Yaakov Avinu says to me, go to a very dangerous place. Go see how your brothers are doing. He knew that they hate him. And they almost killed him. In fact, that's what happened. He almost lost his life. So where does he learn? And in fact, a lot of the Rishonim discuss, was Yosef allowed to go there? Who says he's allowed to go there? It's makom sakana. Will you have to listen to your father when he says to you, violate Shabbos? No. Do you have to listen to your father when he tells you, risk your life? It's against the Torah. The Torah says, not so partial that he was allowed to. So where did he learn that he was allowed to? Sefer Hasidim? From Esav. He says, if Esav risks his life to get a good steak, how much more so I should risk my life when my father commands me to go see how my brothers, his sons, are doing and how his sheep are doing. That's his animals. Esav goes to those type of animals, and I'll go to these type of animals, my father's animals, and from here he learned. So why is this written in the Torah? To teach us, says the Sefer Hasidim, how careful a person should be to fulfill his father's command. It could also be his mother. His parents' command, and that's why all this is written. Gemara Shabbos. Everybody knows this Gemara Shabbos, Kuf Yudches Amud Beis, also in Yalkut Shimoni. Omar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Ilemalo Mishamrin Yisrael. Shtei Shabbos Oskir L'Chasa. Neftali Yisrael will keep 2 Shabbos. 2. Miyad Megalim. Geula comes. The Gemara brings a proof, a Raya Pasuk from Yeshaya. But we have a rule. Leika Mededel Mize Beraisa. There's nothing that's not hinted to in the Torah. Where do you see this idea that you need 2 Shabbos and you will be redeemed? And soon we'll see the connection to Parashat Shavua, because perhaps there is a connection to Parashat Vayeshev. Otherwise, it's nice to speak about Shabbos a few hours before Shabbos, but where do we see in the Torah, if you keep 2 Shabbos, you will be redeemed? Perhaps in a few places. In Vayikra, in Emo, talking about Lechem HaPodim, the pasuk says, B'yom HaShabbos, Ya'archenu Lifnei Hashem Tamid. Why do you have to repeat yourself? B'yom HaShabbos, Ya'archenu Lifnei Hashem Tamid. Can't you say it once? B'yom HaShabbos, put those loaves of bread. Ya'archenu Lifnei Hashem Tamid. Maybe because everything has to do with Shabbos is 2. B'yom HaShabbos, 2 Shabbos, and then what's going to be? Lifnei Hashem Tamid. In other words, the Geula, the Tamidit, to be with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, maybe that's the remez, or a different remez. In Parashat Kisisa. V'shamu v'nei Yisrael as a Shabbos. Why are you saying La'as is a Shabbos? You already said it. V'shamu v'nei Yisrael as a Shabbos. And you repeat yourself, and again you say La'as as a Shabbos, which means there's 2 types of Shabbos. 2 types of Shabbos, Geula comes. The Moshe Rebbe explained, V'shamu v'nei Yisrael, Shamu, safeguard from desecrating it. Don't violate the Shabbos. La'as as a Shabbos is the positive, sanctified with tefillah, sanctified with the kedusha that you infuse into the Shabbos. When the Gemara says you have to keep 2 Shabbos, it's not 2 Shabbos, one on Shabbos, wait a week and keep another one. It's the 2 types of Shabbos that are in one, which means safeguard from desecrating it, make sure that you don't violate the Shabbos, and infuse it with kedusha, infuse it with tahara, infuse it with mitzvahs and tefillah. The Ksav HaKabbalah explained differently, but similarly. He says that has to do with 2 Shabbos means the guf and the nefesh. You have to take pleasure on Shabbos. Oinik Shabbos, have good foods, that's for the guf. What about the nefesh? Sit and learn a little. Yeah, I know, sleeping is also very, very pleasurable. Maybe for the nefesh, I'm not so sure.
Shamu v'zochar.
What's that? Shamu v'zochar, right. Another pasuk in Vayikra, maybe that is another remez. Es shabtoisai tishmoiru. Umigdashi tirau neum Hashem. Ani Hashem. What's the connection to speak in one pasuk about Shmiras Shabbos and the fear of Beis Hamikdash? Normally this is not done. One theme for a pasuk. Here, putting 2. Es Shabsoi Tishmo, keep my Shabbos. Shabbos? Why don't you say es Hashabbos Tishmo? Et Shabbati. If you want to be consistent with the style. Et Shabsoi et Shabbasi. Why 2 Shabbosim? Because maybe this is the remez here. Et Shabsoi Tishmoru, keep 2 Shabbos. Miut Rabbi B'Shnaim. When you say Shabbosim, Two Shabbases, that means more than one Shabbos in the plural, that means two. El Shabsoi say Tishmo, you know what's going to happen right after? Umikdashi tirau, don't read it tirau, rather tiru, you will be able to see Beis HaMikdash. Who says this? Ani Hashem. The pasuk ends, Ani Hashem. Rashi says, Ne'eman l'shalem sachar. I promise you, just keep the Shabbos. What's the connection between the two parts of the pasuk? In one pasuk you're putting two? Yeah. Because Shabbos is like a mini Beis HaMikdash. Shabbos is a spiritual Mikdash within the days of physical activity that we're always engaged in. Suddenly we move into a spiritual existence that is Shabbos. Says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're willing to keep a spiritual existence within that physical world that you're living? I'll move you into a spiritual existence, and that is the Geula when Beis HaMikdash comes in Mirtzeh Hashem. Another idea. Parshas B'Shalach. Talking about the man. V'aya bayom hashishi v'echinu eser sheyaviu v'aya mishne asher yilketu yom yom. Normally you pick one oimer lagulgoles every single day. Friday, take two, preparing for Shabbos. Baal HaTurim over there says, Kol maise haShabbos kaful. Everything that you see with Shabbos is double. Shnei kvasim, the korban of Shabbos is 2 sheep. Shnei kikarim, 2 loaves of bread. Shtei neirois, 2 candles. Zachor and Shamo, everything about Shabbos is 2. The Shoham Yakar, interpretation, Perush and Baal HaTurim there brings a medrash from the Tanchuma. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, everything, Kol Iska de Shabbos Kaful, everything, any business that you have to do with Shabbos is double, and he gives all kinds of examples. Omer Kaful, the pasuk we saw, you have to take 2 portions of the Omer. The Korban is double, of Yom HaShabbos, Shnei Kvasim. If one desecrates Chalil Shabbos, the punishment is double, Mechalelea Moishumas, why you say 2? Twice. Onish is double. As Harosea Kaful, the warnings are double. Zachor and Shamo. The Mizmor, the capital of Shabbos is double. Mizmor, Shir, Liyom HaShabbos. Mizmor and Shir is the same thing. You're doubling up. Everything about Shabbos is double. The Kolbo, one of the Rishonim. Beis Yosef brings in Orach Chaim, Reish Samich Gimel says, this is the reason we light 2 candles. Because everything about Shabbos is double. The Darkei Moshe, Achidish, he adds there that anyone who lights more than 2 candles actually takes away from this idea of having the Zecher for Zachor and Shamo. The minhag of the world is not like that. The minhag of the world is interesting because the minhag of the world is to light corresponding to the amount of kids that you have at home, and there is no source to that. The Mishnah Berurah brings all kinds of different minhagim. Some light 7, some light 10, some light 2. Mekubalim will light 36 and 72, or the more the merrier. We don't find a real early source saying that you light corresponding to every kid that you have, you had another light. But that's what the minhag of the world is. With that we can understand one of the zmiras we sing tomorrow. Baruch kelel yoim. Right? So then we sing Ve'ashrei kol chochei to what? Letashlumi what? Kefel. Double reward. Everything about Shabbos is double. Maybe you also get double reward. Based on that, that's what the Gemara says, 2 Shabbosim. 2 Shabbosim bring Geula. Because everything about Shabbos is actually double. And you see from here, the great Rachamim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Yevamos Samech Dalet, Amud Beis, and it's throughout Shas, conceptual Machloikis. Chazaka is constituted by an action that repeats itself twice or 3 times. Rabbi Yehuda, twice. Rabbi Shimon, 3 times. And that's how we paskin. Chazaka is when you see something repeating itself 3 times, that's a chazaka. Right? Normally, we paskin like Rabbi Shimon. Says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, I'm not going to paskin like Rabbi Shimon. I want Rabbi Yehuda. Because I want to redeem you so much that I'm willing to see only 2 Shabboses, and I say you're chazaka, that you're Shomu Shabbos, and I'll redeem you. And more than that, it's a matter of pikuach nefesh shayla. If you keep us in galus, it's a pikuach nefesh, a spiritual one and a physical one for us. And when it comes to matters of sakana, we don't paskin like Reb Shimon. Matters of sakana, we paskin like Reb Yehuda. The chazaka is constituted by twice. For example, Isha Katlanis, a woman that got married twice and lost both her husbands, she is called a lethal woman. Isha Katlanis, she's not allowed to be married. Why? Sakana. Sakana, twice is enough. Tinok she'mesu echav machmas mila. First baby was born in the family, we circumcised him, unfortunately he died. The second baby is born, same story. 2 babies already born, we don't circumcise the 3rd one. Why? Sakana. Sakana, we paskin like Reb Yehuda. Says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's a sakana. Staying in Kabbalah is sakana, a spiritual and a physical one. Maybe I want to redeem you. What's the midah keneged midah? That keeping Shabbos, Dafka Shabbos, as opposed to all other mitzvahs, will bring geula. I think Shabbos, as we said before, is a spiritual existence within days of, we're occupied with so many other things, physical things. So when one moves into that physical territory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he says, I'm with you, I forget about everything else. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, oh yeah? So I'm going to bring you that which you want, which is the spiritual existence that we're going to have in Mitzvah Hashem Bekaru with a Geula Shalema. By the way, Reb Shteiman Zatzal, Reb Chaim Zatzal, his Rabbi Pessin Zatzal, his daughter Shetichya Leorech Yamim Tovim, Rabbi Koldetsky, all these four told me many times to tell people to accept on themselves as a segula for many good things. To accept Shabbos 10 minutes early, and the many people do that. But the trick is not just to accept Shabbos 10 minutes early. To daven during those 10 minutes. Why? What's so special about those 10 minutes which are very propitious for being answered? Where's the tefillah? It's a spiritual request. So when you move into spirituality, into a spiritual existence of Shabbos, you're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I just want to be with you extra time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you extra. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is willing to listen and grant you whatever you want during those times because it's something that you're not chayav to do. But you want to move into a spiritual existence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reward you and grant you your spiritual requests. That's why it's a very opportune time to daven dafka at that time.
When you say 10 minutes early, do you mean 10 minutes before Shkia?
10 minutes before the calendar. Whatever the calendar that anyways you accept Shabbos, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 20 minutes earlier than that. We like to say 10 minutes because sometimes if you take too much upon yourself, it's going to boomerang. Especially in the winter, Shabbos is very short. But whenever you do it, it doesn't have to be 10 because 10 is no school in the number 10. But when you do it earlier than what you're requested to do, so Kodesh Baruch Hu says, I'll do extra for you as well.
Better not to hold Minhag Yerushalayim and use those 20 minutes to accept Shabbos early?
Minhag Yisrael Torah. We can't change a minhag.
That's Minhag Yerushalayim.
The Minhag Yerushalayim is established for Ashkenazim in Beit Shemesh and in Petach Tikva as well.
Not necessarily Beit Shemesh to always agree with Minhag Yerushalayim.
The Sfaradim, you're right. Ashkenazim, most Ashkenazim, except in Beit Shemesh and in Petach Tikva, the Minhag Yerushalayim. If your custom was such, you can't just decide to change it because you want to do this. You can just add another 5 minutes to the 40 minutes that you already do. If you didn't have a custom and you were in a community, that they don't have this custom, so then you're free to do as you wish.
45 is over the top.
You want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to say over the top for your requests? Chas v'sholem. But after saying all this, if in fact Shabbos has such a koyach to redeem, so why do you need two? And if Shabbos doesn't have koyach to redeem, so even two is not enough. How does it work? Why dafka two? What is special about, magical about two Shabboses? When somebody keeps a Shabbos, it doesn't necessarily show us that he's a shoyme Shabbos. It shows that yesterday he probably heard a shir and he was very, very excited. He was inspired. Maybe he's afraid of some kind of a punishment that's going to come next week. Maybe he wants his gula to be successful in some kind of, he needs some kind of a yeshua. He says, no, I'm going to keep the Shabbos. You're not showing us that you're showing Shabbos. You're showing us that you have an awakening for whatever reason for the next 25 hours. But when you do that again, the following Shabbos, you're in. You're showing Shabbos. That shows consistency. Mimele, Shabbos has the koyach to redeem. It's just a technical thing that we need to see that you really are a Shomer Shabbos, and then that Shabbos, which we really only need one. But in order to establish that you are a Shomer Shabbos, Klal Yisrael, maybe we need two Shabboses, but really Shabbos in itself has the koyach to redeem. After all this,
Is that all of Klal Yisrael?
Ilemala Yisrael Meshamrin, if Klal Yisrael will keep, that's the language. Some people have the weight corresponding to so many people, so maybe we don't need the entire Klal Yisrael, but that's the language of Chazal.
600,000.
Moshe Rabbeinu had corresponding to 600,000. After saying all this, seemingly we have a big problem. Yerushalmi, Masechet Tainis, Daf Gimel, Amud Beis, Shmo Yisrael as well in Pasha Chafei, Ois Tezayin, totally different. We before read the Bavli, and it's very clear. Ilemala Yisrael Mishamrin, Shtei Shabbasos, two Shabbases. Comes a Yerushalmi and says no. Ilu Ayu Yisrael Mishamrin, Shabbos Achas Ketikna, keep one Shabbos. Miyad Haya Ben David Ba, Klal Yisrael will be redeemed. So do you need two or do you need one? So now everything we said until now doesn't work. Because you don't need two. I mean, there are cute ideas, I think. Very good votes. But it's not true, you only need one. Yeah, Kilchasan and Bavli. It's the same thing. Keep it as you're supposed to. It's different words for the same idea. When you have a machlokes Bavli and Yerushalmi, Who do you paskin like? Machlokes Bavli and Yerushalmi. Who was early, Bavli or Yerushalmi? Yerushalmi. So the Bavli saw the Yerushalmi and decided not like it, and therefore we paskin like the Bavli. So how come Mordechai ben David paskin like the Yerushalmi? Just one Shabbos and we'll only. Who gave him permission to paskin like the Yerushalmi? Anybody sings it? Do you ever hear anyone singing just 2 Shabboses? No, we paskin like Yerushalmi. Why? Some explain that Yerushalmi is talking about the Toitza, the result. The Bavli is talking about the way to get there. Meaning, really, you need 1 Shabbos. The Pasuk says Shabbos is described after 6 days of work. Work! And then rest. When you decide finally, you know what? I'm keeping this Shabbos, and you're 42 years old. You know what you're showing me? That you're tired. You've been working for 42 years straight. Now I want to rest. You're not a Shom Shabbos. You're a person who's tired. The mitzvah of Shabbos is that you work 6 days, not 5,000. So keep Shabbos. Now work 6 days, and the next Shabbos is that Shabbos that will redeem you, because that's the Shabbos that he talked about. The first Shabbos doesn't count necessarily. I don't know why you rested. It doesn't show you're Shom Shabbos. It shows you're tired. Mimele, the Bavli Yerushalmi is saying the same thing. The Bavli is telling you the derech, the way to get there, to get to 1 Shabbos that the Yerushalmi is describing, is to keep 2 Shabbos, because now you really are. And if we had what we said before, that now you're consistency, now when you really know that you are Shom Shabbos, you're just not because you're resting, it's the mitzvah of a Shabbos after 6 days of work. So therefore, these 2 statements are not contradiction. No, they don't contradict each other, they complete each other. Rabbi Yosef Zatzal in Divrei Agada says, the 2 Shabbos is required are not 2 Shabbos on the calendar. It's 1 Shabbos. But you can't just be thinking about yourself. You have to be thinking about others and make sure that everybody in Klal Yisrael keeps the Shabbos. Et Shabbosoi tishmoru es lerabois, not just your Shabbos, the Shabbos of people around. Kiruv. Mimele, we only need 1 Shabbos. Ilemalu Yisrael meshamrin shtei Shabbosos, your own private Shabbos, and make others keep the Shabbos as well. Go for the, what is it called in South Africa? Rabbi Goldstein, I think, yes, the Shabbos Project. Inspire, be involved in Kibbutz and bring others back to see the light of Shabbos. Mimena, that is called 2 Shabboses. Yours and the other people who's keeping Shabbos now with the same Shabbos, like you. But that's the 2nd Shabbos. I think to bring a raya to Rabbi Yosef, from a Moyedik, an explanation of the Torah Tmima on Maseches Tainis, Daf Hey Amud Beis. The Gemara says, "En mesichin b'shas seuda." Don't speak when you're eating. Why? Shema yakdim kane laveshet. Maybe the food is going to go down the windpipe instead of going through your esophagus. Dangerous. Says the Torah Tmima. Grammatically, it doesn't work. En mesichin. Don't speak. That's hifil. It should really say en soichin. Don't speak now. What's en mesichin? Don't cause others to speak. What are you talking about? So he says, many times you see, you do speak in the middle of the meal. It doesn't bother you. Because when you speak, you're careful. You swallow, and then you decide to speak. But when you speak with others, and you say something which is startling to them, or so upsetting, or whatever it is, they're going to have to react, and they can't control themselves. And therefore, this instruction is not talking to you. Don't speak. Don't cause others to speak in the middle of their meal. And mesichin, which means, just like Rabbi Yosef says, and Ilemalu Yisrael meshamrin es Shabbos. What it really should have said, Ilemalu Yisrael shoimrin. What's meshamrin? Cause others to be involved in Shmiras Shabbos as well. So I think according to that, Rabbi Yosef works very, very well. That 2 Shabbosim is not only your Shmiras Shabbos, it's others as well. Could be that's from the language of Ilemalu Yisrael meshamrin, mean not only your Shmirah, but cause others to be Shomer Shabbos as well. The Chidah over there in Shabbos Kufitches, the original statement recorded from the Bavli, has a gewaldik an idea. He brings some Ben Yonasan Eibshitz. There's a pasuk in Daniel that we say every single day in Tachanun. Lecha Hashem hatzedakah. Velanu boishes upon him. Says the Ben Yonasan Eibshitz. Lecha Hashem hatzedakah. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you're so merciful. What tzedakah and chesed you did to us? The only thing you request is that Klal Yisrael should keep 2 Shabbos. Not a big deal. What a chesed. You could have asked much more in order to redeem us, but that's the only thing you asked. And since it's so easy, and it's such a chesed, and we don't do it, therefore, lanu, boshes apanim, we are so embarrassed. And the Chidah writes, it's been hundreds and hundreds of years. Can't we get it right? 2 Shabbos is what they're asking us. And therefore the word Shabbos turned around and became boshes. It's the same letters. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us such tzedakah and chesed and is willing to redeem us for 2 Shabbos and we don't do it. Lanu boshes apanim, because Shabbos has turned around and became boshes because we didn't do it. Gevaldik. Maybe in a different way. But again, the idea of 2 Shabbos is required. Zohar HaKodesh in Parashas Tzav, the Avchav Tes Amud Beis says, a Talmid Chochem is called Shabbos. Talmid Chochem Ikrei Shabbos. He's called Shabbos. In Meile, when they're telling us to keep 2 Shabbos, it's not 2 different days of the week, 2 different days on the calendar. Keep the Shabbos, the day of the week called Shabbos, and keep the honor of the Talmid Chochem, who is also called the Shabbos. And this should not be a wonderment, because we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu equated his honor to that of the Talmid Chachamim. Es Hashem Elokecha tira es lerabois Talmid Chachamim. In fact, the Maharal has a language amazing. In Bab Metzia Peidalad Amud Beis, the Maharal writes, I'm reading to you. Yesh lecha ladat, you should know. Af ki I efshar le'adam belo chet. It can't be that person who's not going to sin. Everybody sins. But you should know, mikol makom. En chet shegoyrem hefsed. There's nothing worse. Kemo mi shepogeya bichvod chachamim. Like someone who offends the honor of chachamim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really interested that we should honor the Talmid Chachamim. And what do the Talmid Chachamim do? They erect different fences to safeguard the Shabbos. It makes sense that you should keep the honor of the 2 Shabboses. What Shabboses? The real Shabbos and the Talmid Chachamim, who are themselves called Shabbos, and they protect that Shabbos. And it's not so surprising actually what the Maharal writes. Nothing worse than offending the honor of Talmid Chachamim, because the reverse is also true. In Masechet Shavuos, the Flamed Amud Beis, we learn from all the positive mitzvahs in the Torah, from all the Yasin, greatest one is kavod the Torah, the kavod of Talmid Chachamim. That's the greatest essence of Gemara Shavuos. So it's both sides of the coin. Maybe that's why the pasuk we read before, Et Shabsoisai Tishmoiru, Shabsoisai is 2 Shabboses. Keep the one that comes after the weekdays, as we know it, coming in a few hours, and keep the Shabbos, which is the Talmid Chochem, and fear him and honor him, because we have to make sure to protect that Shabbos as well. By the way, why is the Zohar calling a Talmid Chochem a Shabbos? The Talmid Chochem is called a Shabbos. Why? I think when the Zohar wrote it, it's very hard to understand. Today, very easy. You call someone up today. Tell me, do you know the source for this? What does it say in this? And it starts quoting you. Yeah, you know why? He's looking at my computer as he talks to you. But on Shabbos, you reveal who's the real Talmid Chochem, because Shabbos you can't open up the computer. So now you know who's the real Talmid Chochem. Talmid Chochem is called Shabbos. Maybe, in a different way. What are these 2 Shabbosim? One has to do many preparations before Shabbos. Achana. You have to get up early on Shabbos, on Friday. You have to go and buy things for the Shabbos Kodesh, the expenses themselves that you spend for Shabbos. Rashi in Shmois Chaf Zayin, in Perek Chaf Pasuk Zayin, in Yisro says, Tnu lev lizkor tamid es Yom HaShabbos. Remember Shabbos, like on Sunday you see a nice piece of steak, a nice piece of meat that you're going to want to use for Shabbos, buy it. Think about Shabbos the whole week. You have to do some laundry for Shabbos. You have to bathe yourself. You have to go to the mikveh. Prepare yourself the Shabbos needs, whatever you need. Shabbos, Orach Chaim Reish Mem Beis. We learned that it's the right thing to do for a woman to bake challah. I'm not talking halachically right now. If she has to, if she can go to the bakery because it's a better challah and you like it better, you don't have to suffer on Shabbos. But there's an Indian of preparations of Shabbos, which is across the board. Also preventing certain things. Don't do certain things for the honor of Shabbos. In other words, Friday afternoon, don't have a big meal, because we want you to be hungry for the sake of Shabbos. Maybe that's what it means. If Klal will keep 2 Shabboses, what 2 Shabboses? One Shabbos that we're familiar with, and the other Shabbos is the Shabbos of Chol. That the whole week you're being the Shomer Shabbos because you're preparing for the Shabbos. You're honoring the Shabbos the entire week. It comes out that your whole Metzias is that of one big long Shabbos. If that's the case, Avada you will be redeemed. Because we said Shabbos is a whole spiritual existence. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to redeem us and bring us into a spiritual existence. If you're keeping the Shabbos all week, even while you're engaged in other activities, you're thinking about the Shabbos, you're preparing for the Shabbos, that's as if 2 Shabboses. one preparation, and one the actual Shabbos. And it's like, and that's the reason maybe, Chazal used the language meshamrin. It's like the peel of the fruit that protects from the outside. There's keeping the Shabbos from the inside. That's when you're inside Shabbos. And there's keeping the Shabbos from the outside, all the preparations required. And that's what meshamrin, like the klipa, the peel, that's meshamer, which is inside, that is the fruit. With that we can understand another Zohar.
How long is a week?
Baruch atah Adonai melech olam she'akol nהיה bidvoroi. L'choira, the week that I'm familiar with is 6 days.
Is that what it is? Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu keep. How long is a day in the Kodesh Baruch Hu? They say it's 1,000 years. It's
Are you a Kodesh Baruch Hu?
Huh?
Are you a Kodesh Baruch Hu?
I'm just saying.
Yom v'layla lo yishboisu. The pasuk in Bereshit says, day and night, that's 12 hours and 12 hours, 24 hours. And then it turns into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 days like that, you're in Shabbos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has different Heshbonos. His day is 1,000 years. With that we can understand another Zohar. The Zohar says in Korach, in Kuf Ayin Tes Amud Beis, strange language, Me'olam lo zaza shchina mi-Yisrael, never is the Shechina removed from Klal Yisrael, afilu b'Shabbos shel Choil. What is the Shabbos shel Choil? Never is the Shechina removed from Klal Yisrael. Even in a weekday Shabbos, there is no Shabbos on the weekdays. But according to what we're saying, maybe that's interpretation. There is a Shabbos on the weekdays. If you're constantly thinking about Shabbos the whole week, when you say in the morning, Hayom Yom Rishon, B'Shabbos. What are you saying B'Shabbos? Hayom Yom Rishon. No, it's Sunday of Shabbos. You're always involved. The Ramban says it's a mitzvah esed d'oraisa. When you remember the Shabbos throughout the week, you're involved in a Shabbos of a weekdays. Shabbos shel Chol. When you do that, in fact, Shechina is never removed from Klal Yisrael. After all this, what's the connection to Pasuk Shavua?
What's the rebusa of Shabbat that afilu Shabbos?
On Shabbos, I've had it that you stop everything and you're with the Kodesh Baruch Hu 24 hours. The Kodesh Baruch Hu is with you. But on weekdays, it's as if Chalila, you're forgetting about the Kodesh Baruch Hu. You're involved in your business. Even then, the Shekhinah never is removed from Klal Yisrael. When it's a weekdays of Shabbos. It's a Shabbos of Chol. When you infuse Shabbos, the holiness of Kedusha of Shabbos, into your weekdays, thinking about it, preparing for it, maybe the Shekhinah is training you like as if you are in a Shabbos. And that maybe is the 2 Shabbosim that are required in order to be redeemed. Connection to Pasuk Shavua. I thought this week, we quoted before a Pasuk. Yaakov Avinu, after he heard the dreams of Yosef ve'Aviv, Shamar esadava. What's Shamar? Rashi? Mechake u'metzape. He was anticipating, when will this finally happen? That's what Chazal is saying. Ilemala Yisrael meshamrin es Shabbos. In other words, throughout the whole week, they anticipate. They wait. When will Shabbos already come? When you do that, your whole week is one big Shabbos. Your whole big week is one Shabbos. The Kodesh Baruch Hu is done redeeming you, because Shabbos has the power to redeem when it's done correctly. Done correctly means not only when you jump into Shabbos, when you prepare for Shabbos, your whole week is a Shabbos. Then you can jump into Shabbos, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu is always with you. And Yimitz Hashem, for that merit, we will have the Geula Shlema Bekarov. Now we go back to jail. Yosef is in jail. And in the morning, Yosef sees the butler and the baker, and they look mamish like a Tisha B'Av. Sad face of a Tisha B'Av. What's wrong with you? And he looks at the calendar. It's not Tisha B'Av today. And he says to the butler, what's wrong? And the butler says, don't ask. It's such a bad dream yesterday, a weird dream, and I don't know what to do with it. And what did you dream about? So he said, I dreamt that I'm taking a bunch of grapes, and I squeeze them, and I make wine, and I give the wine to Paro. And I have no idea what this means. So he says, oh yeah, that means in 3 days, Paro is going to restore you to your original position. Gewaltig, Yeshikoyach. The baker overheard, and he runs over and says, excuse me, how much do you charge for your dream interpreting services? And he says, no charge. He says, really? Okay, let me tell you, I also had a crazy dream last night. I don't know what it means. What did you dream? I saw 3 baskets loaded with food on my head, and a bird comes and eats from it. What does that mean? You're going to be decapitated. Very soon. How does Yosef know this means, and this means you're going back to your original position? How does Yosef know this? Says the Medrash, when the butler started saying his dream, he was very, very active. I took the grapes. I squeezed them. I made them into wine. I gave it to Paro. Active. Life is about being active. You have to do. You have to grow. You have to steig. You have to climb. That's why you're here. What does the butler say? I saw there's some baskets on my head. I saw, there's a lot of food in them. I didn't put the food in them. I saw the bird comes and eats from it. What did he do? Nothing, he's passive. Life is not about passive. The essence of life is to grow. The essence of life is to do something. Just don't be a spectator of your life. Your life deserves participation, not spectatorship. The Medrash, with a little further understanding and explanation of Rabbi Shapira of Lublin. The Medrash says he saw being active. Rabbi Shapira explains why that's so important. Because if you're just a spectator of life, that means you're not in the game. You're out of the game. So that means if you see the baskets on your head and you didn't place them there, somebody else placed them there. That means you're not active anymore and working for power. If you see someone eating from your head, that means all you have is a head. That means they will decapitate your head, and that's why Yosef explained to the baker this way. Because life demands participation. You have to be active, not just be a stand by a leg. But very interesting, watching your own life pass by.
Remember seeing Rabbi Shulei Diskin, he says Yosef learned out about the grapes from Gemara Brachos, where he says that it's the Simon Tov.
Nun hey.
About grapes.
But Simon Tov for what? That doesn't mean that other food is Simon Ra. That's Simon Tov for the butler. But who says the baker is going to be decapitated?
I don't remember that.
So now we have one. Prison riddle. There's a person sitting in prison. And he handcuffs. What can he do on Shabbos that no one else around him can? Just because you put him in handcuffs, he can do something that no one else can. Can it be?
Be carried.
You can dream.
You can also carry someone else. Regarding Hilchos Shabbos, he can do something. Everybody's sitting in the room together. There's a person who has handcuffs on, and because of that, he can do something that you can't do.
Let himself be carried in the Shishara.
No, in the same room. In the same room, everybody's sitting in the same room together, and just because he has handcuffs and you don't, so he's allowed to do something, and Shabbos you're not allowed to. Can it be? What's that?
You can dream.
He can dream, you can also dream. What's the connection to dreams and handcuffs?
Read by the Torah.
What's that?
You can go and
Read by the Torah.
What was that?
Biur halacha. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Simen Reish Hei Ayin. Reish Hei Ayin. Says the Biur halacha. On Shabbos you're not allowed to read to the light of the candle. Why? We're afraid. Shemayate. Maybe you're going to tilt the candle and you're going to cause more oil to be consumed. Have ara. You're not allowed to do this. Agzer Rav Chazal. Says the Biur halacha, Mishnah Berurah, that if your hands are tied up, you're allowed to. Because you won't be able to do it. If you try doing this, it's going to fall on you, you're never going to do it. Mimele says the Biur halacha, if your hands are tied, if you tie your hands, your kids' hands, I'm not suggesting to do that. I'm not suggesting to do that. Or your wife's. I'm not suggesting to do that. Or yourself. Mimele, you'll be able, this gezerah doesn't apply to you, and you'll be able to read to the light of the candle on Shabbos.
It doesn't count what the new Shabbos lights. You just move you move the piece down and it makes the light brighter or lighter. That's not like doing oil. No, it's the Shabbos lights.
Electricity is a whole big discussion. Does this apply to or not? But the Mishnah Berurah has an invention, and he says, even talking about candles, if you put a sign next to your candles, today is Shabbos, remember, that should serve as a shomer, and this gezerah won't apply. But if you forgot to put one, or you don't put one, and your hands are tied up for whatever reason, this gezerah doesn't apply to you, and you'll be able to read to the light of the candle. Let's move to Hanukkah. Where's the best place to light? Mitzvah min ha-muvcha?
By the doorpost.
The doorpost. Why over there? There's another mitzvah in the Torah that has to do with doorpost. Which one is that? That's already there. Another mitzvah that you have to go to the doorpost and do something. Parshas Mishpatim, Eved Ivri. He says, I don't want to leave. I'm having a great time with my master, I'm staying. You got to take him by the doorpost and pierce his ear. Why over there? But on the porch. Why by the doorpost? Rashi? What do you say? Rashi.
Because you heard by Har Sinai.
What did you hear by Har Sinai? What did you hear by Har Sinai?
You should not be in Never.
Should not be. So why the doorpost? What does doorpost represent? We came back and we smeared some blood on the doorpost. So the door and the doorpost are the witnesses that this man heard. You should be slaves to me and not slaves to slaves. So Mimele, Dafka and Hanukkah, when we said we do not want to be subjected and slaves of the Greeks, not the Greeks' culture, not the Greeks' spirit. We want to only be slaves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We go dafka to the doorpost, and now we have another witness. The Hanukkah, candles, the menorah, the doorpost. Now we have three strong coalition, three witnesses that will testify to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These people are only interested in being slaves to you, and not to anyone else.
What was that? The candle, the doorpost?
The doorpost, and the candles that you light over there is the testimony that you do not want to subject yourself to the Greek philosophy, culture, and spirit. The halacha says, Shulchan Aruch Chaim Siman Taf Reish Ayin Aleph and Seif Ches. A chatzer, a house that has two entrances, one on this street and one on the other, you have to light in both. Why? Because if somebody passes on this side and they don't see a menorah, they're going to suspect you. What's going on with this guy? I thought he's from. He doesn't light candles. And therefore, even though you lit on the other side, light in both. So people shouldn't suspect you. Comes the Beis Yosef and asks a question. Wait a second. Why is this different than the Gemara in Brachos Daf Zayin Amud Beis, where we learn, if one is not allowed to pass by a shul in the time of davening and not enter the shul? What are people going to say? Well, he's not from, he doesn't want to daven with us. But if the shul has two entrances, no problem, you can pass by, nobody's going to suspect you. So wait a second. People are not going to suspect me if there's two entrances regarding the shul, but people will suspect me regarding Hanukkah if there's two entrances. What's the difference? Shout out the Beis Yosef. Now, what do you say? Good shayla.
Why suspect people? We also have in you to judge a person.
But the Gemara says people will suspect you.
I think that's what bothers me. Because it also says you got
The pasuk in Parshas Matos says, "V'yisem nekiim me'Hashem u'Yisrael." Don't do things that will cause others to suspect you. You're right. Each individual should maybe be judging you favorably, but you're doing it to yourself. Why are you passing by the shul at the time of the davening? So don't do things that will cause others to raise an eyebrow. What's going on with this guy? But Lemaise, there is a suspicion, but there is no suspicion regarding a shul when there's two entrances. There is a suspicion regarding Hanukkah when there are two entrances, and you better do something about it and light in both places. Why is that? No, one bracha. But why do you have to go an extra mile and do it and light in both directions?
Because there's a mitzvah to go to walk Shabbats.
And Shabbats is nowhere regarding the shul?
But shul, people think that he's going to the farther end.
Good. Hanukkah? Is there Shabbats for Hanukkah to light in a different, further away entrance? No, you're right. And therefore it says the Chochma Shlomo, Yom Echad Reb Shlomo Kluger. That's the reason. That's the difference between the two. Comes out, according to Chiddush, there is a greater schar psios if you go to the other entrance. So when you know there are two entrances, and I'm passing by and I'm not coming in, you're thinking, okay, probably wants to gain a few more mitzvahs on the way, he's going to go to the further entrance. There is no reason to prefer a different entrance in Hanukkah. Comes the Chochma Shlomo says, and if there's more Pirsum and Nisa in the other entrance, Mimele, you're not going to have to light on the other side because everybody knows it's a much busier street over there. It's a big chiddush according to Chochma Shlomo.
You can't see the first entrance.
Everybody knows that street is very, very busy. And they know you have an entrance over there. And they also know you have here, but it's a very quiet. So everybody should understand. You know why he probably didn't light here? He only lit over there. It was bigger Pirsum and Nisa. According to Chochma Shlomo, it's going to come out. You're not going to have to light in both directions, which is a big chiddush because the Shulchan Aruch didn't say that. It's a chiddush.
First entrance is on the 5th floor. So you know, like downstairs also. You can't see up that high.
No, we're talking about a house, which is the chatzer, a yard, which has an entrance here and this street, and an entrance on this street. Not a private apartment in the building. The Beis Yosef himself answers his question, and he says davening is different. Because if you don't come into the shul, the time of davening, it's as if you remove from yourself the yoke of heaven. It's much more severe, and therefore people will suspect you. But when there's two entrances, nobody's going to think that you're going to remove the yoke of heaven. Obviously, you went from the different entrance. Hanukkah has nothing to do with the yoke of heaven. People will suspect you. It's so severe davening, so we say people are not going to suspect you when they have a chance not to because there's two entrances. But Hanukkah is not like that. More, the Beis Yosef explains a strange answer. He says Hanukkah involves a monetary loss. You have to buy the oil or the candles and you have to light it, monetary loss, so people will suspect you. Davening, there's no monetary loss. There's no reason to suspect you when there's two entrances. He probably came through the other door. It says the Taz. What are you talking about? And davening is not a monetary loss. I can be in business, I can be in my job, instead of being here, stuck in the shul for an hour. Of course it's a monetary loss. So comes a Yisrael Shuva, the grandson of the Chassam Sofer, and says, no, there is a difference. Hanukkah, you have to be active and go and spend money. That's hefsed mammon. By being in shul and not making money, that's meni'as revach. You're not making more money, but it's not called hefsed mammon. So that's the chiluk the Beis Yosef wanted to say. The Taz says differently. There's no reason to say that in shul they're going to suspect him, again, when there's two entrances, because the many times that you see him in time of davening, you see him in the marketplace, and that's 100% kosher. Many times, one is allowed not to be in the shul. He's passing by and he has a good reason. He's going to a doctor. He's exempt from tefillah for whatever reason. There's no reason to suspect him. But Hanukkah, that's not the case. Because Hanukkah, everybody has to light. So how come you didn't light? There's no exemptions from Hanukkah. Maybe that's the chilek, and because he goes back to the original answer of the Beis Yosef, if you don't go into shul, it's like mamish poilek ol malchut shamayim. You remove the yoke of him. You want to be involved with the tzibur at the time that they accepted themselves the yoke of shamayim. Mimele davening, people won't suspect you when there's two entrances because they'll say he's not going to do such a severe thing. Of course, he probably is going to go through the other entrance. But Hanukkah is not like that, and that's the reason. We mentioned, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, the idea that for a positive mitzvah, one has to spend up to 20% of his assets. Good. Orach Chaim, Siman Taf Reish Ayin Aleph, a strange halacha. A person who is poor, he's so poor that he actually goes collecting. He doesn't have enough for a candle. What does he have to do? Sell your shirt. Sell my shirt, it's more than 20% of what I have. Why does he have to sell his shirt? Hidu mitzvah is ajlish. For fulfilling a mitzvah, only up to 20%. Chomish. But you're telling him to sell the shirt. It could be that it's much more than 20%. Why did Hanukkah become? And by the way, Hanukkah is only a mitzvah derabanan. So why does it obligate you to sell your shirt? Many achronim deal with this question. And some say, since on Shabbos Daf Chav Gimel we learn that when you light the candles you say a bracha. And you say, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoisav v'tzivanu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to you yesterday and he commanded you to light the candles? What do you mean tzivanu? Where did he write it in the Torah? HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not write in the Torah, light Hanukkah candles. So how do you say v'tzivanu? What does v'tzivanu mean? He did not command us. Yes, he did. Because in Parashat Shoftim he says, you better not deviate an inch to the right, to the left, from whatever the Chachamim tell you. Lo yisasu, don't deviate. That's a lo yisase. And for a lo yisase, for a negative commandment, you have to spend everything you have. Mimele, the reason you have to sell your shirt is not for the positive aspect of the mitzvah. It's for the negative aspect of the mitzvah that forces you to spend everything you have. But if that's true to any positive mitzvah, derabanan, it entails a lo yisasu, don't deviate. So, some say Hanukkah is different. Hanukkah, because of Pirsumei Nisa, it's better than all other mitzvahs, and therefore it's mamish like a lo yisaseh from the Torah or an essay from the Torah, and that's why you will have to, not you, and Ani will have to even sell his shirt, which is more than 20%. Some say, since this nes was done chutz l'derech hateva, above nature, so you go above your normal nature. Normally you only have to spend up to 20%. Says the Chidush Yarim. Here you would have to spend even more than that. Differently, in Shabbos Chav Gimel Amud Beis we learn, Haragil Bener, one who does everything right, Hanukkah candles, what will he have? Havin lebanim talmidei chachamim. Oh, that means they're going to learn Torah? We said a couple of weeks ago that for learning Torah you can spend more than 20%. Hillel Lazakir, how much did he spend? 50% from that little dollar that he used to make every single day. He gave 50% of that to the garden and the entrance of the shul. Mimele for Talmud Torah you're allowed to. The Zgula have lighting Nerot Hanukkah, they have Talmidei Chachamim, that means Limud Torah. Limud Torah you're allowed to spend more than 20%, and that's why it obligates you to sell your shirt. According to that, also we can explain, if you're going to have Talmidei Chachamim, I'm not investing in the mitzvah. I'm investing in my future nachas. And to invest in my future nachas, I can spend much more than 20%. You're going to tell me where to invest my money? I'm investing in nachas. If I think a certain chug is going to be very good for my kid, I'm not allowed to, even though it's more than 20%. This is the greatest chug in the world. It's called the chug that produces Talmidei Chachamim. I'm investing in that, and that's why one would even have to spend more than 20% of his assets. Hanukkah riddles. There's a husband and wife who are together in the house. Who normally lights the candles? Husband. When is it that they're both healthy? There's no vows or anything like that. And yet, the woman, wife, she should light Hanukkah candles.
But it's going to be too late.
They're both there together.
In the house?
They're both in the house looking at each other. And he says to her, Rabbi Pessin, you're lighting today. Two possible answers.
She only has enough candles for Shabbats or Hanukkah.
They have 700 candles at home. 701, sorry. 702, Gematria Shabbos.
Minute Ashkenaz, minute Sephardi.
Ashkenaz and Sfarad together. And Yemenite.
Shabbats a little too early.
The husband was Mekabel Shabbos early.
He went to daven.
Yeah, he wanted all that. Every week, he Mekabel Shabbos early because he wants to daven. He made a mistake. It was Mekabel Shabbos. We can't tell him to go light now. So he has to tell his wife, Rabbi Pessin, you light now. One answer. The other answer, the husband became an oinen. The husband became an oinen. His relative passed away and he still wasn't buried. At that time, you don't do mitzvahs. But we don't want to lose the mitzvah tonight. So he says to his wife, you light the candles, and he just watches. That could be on a Friday, it could be on a Monday, it could be on a Wednesday. You did so well in the previous riddle. Half. Riddle of all riddles of Hanukkah. What's the most brachos you can say when lighting candles? And one per night? 3. And they are? Shechianu, Sheas Nisim, Le'adlik Neshech Hanukkah. 3. Everybody agrees? Good. And my riddle is, what is it you lie? You say 10 blessings over the candles. 10 blessings in one night for the same action that you just told me. The most you can have is 3. 10. 10 points. 10 blessings, 10 points. Don't know what you're going to do with them, but you get 10 points if you know it.
At the lighter?
You're lighting candles. Every night you do 2 or 3. The first night you do 3. Every other night you say 2 brachos. And tonight you're going to say 10 brachos. For the candles. Not because you bought a new garment or anything like that. For the candles. 10. Dafka 10. It could be less. Could be 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4. But the most you can say is this. So I'm going with that. And for that I'm willing to give you 10 points. 10 points. Do you remember me giving 10 points? What do you say, Rabbi Pessin? You may lose the other 2 points. Be careful.
I only have half the answer.
Brave man. Yeah.
It's on Zos Hanukkah. It's the 8th night of Hanukkah.
Okay.
There's 8 candles plus 2 more brachos.
And they are for candles.
Somehow we're going to a situation where you lit a candle and you have to light it again, the next one with a bracha. Maybe, okay, here it is. You did, no.
What's that? He's doing what?
He didn't put it in the right place.
He's a villain. Talking about tzaddikim. Tzaddikim, Gedol Ador. Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Chazon Ish and Rambam together, standing together. And Rav Adani, we said the Yemenite guy from before. Pile ploim of an answer.
His match went out.
What's that?
His match went out. He lit it, and if you want to continue, if you hold that presuming Nisa needs a bracha also, so you tried lighting the first one, Ein Zok Gvah, but then it went out, and he needed it.
And who holds that Pirsum Nisa requires a bracha? And who holds that Pirsum Nisa on its own requires a bracha?
Then I would get 10 points. I could answer that.
We have 15 points, Mr. Nama. The answer is, if one forgot to say Shechianu the first night, and remembers the second night, what does he do? He says Shechianu then. What if he forgot the entire week to say Shechianu? He remembers on the 8th day, what should he do? Say Shechianu. And that's what happened. This guy, 8th night, unfortunately only has 1 candle. So he lights that candle, and he says, Le'adlik Neshech Hanukkah. She'asa Nisim. Oh, he forgot Shechianu last week. Shechianu. How many brachas did he say? So we're only missing 7. Right after he lit, his friend runs over and says, I found you another candle. According to the opinion that you say a bracha for Hidur Mitzvah, who have his opinions? Abu Dram. The Magen Avraham brings him. In Taf Reish Nun Aleph Seif Koton Chafei. So he says another bracha, that's the fourth bracha. 2 seconds later, another friend comes, I found another candle!
What bracha? What bracha?
Lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah, for every candle that he do mitzvah, he will say another bracha.
Every candle.
2 seconds later, another friend comes, I found another candle! And I found another candle, and he gets 7 new candles and 7 new brachos, along with the first 3 that he said. Altogether, 10 brachos, 10 points. Sorry, you're going to have to save it for a different time. But a big chiddush, this is according to the opinion of the Abu Dham, brought in the Magen Avraham, Tafresh Nun Aleph Seif Chot Chafei, that you say a bracha for a beautifying of a mitzvah, for hidur mitzvah. Obviously, not everybody agrees. According to this opinion, 10 brachos. Obviously, it can also be 9 and 8 and 7, 6 and 5, 4. If it happens on the second night, or third, or fourth, and fifth night, accordingly, you just have to add more brachos per candle that you will light after not having them initially when you lit the menorah. Lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Each one of them requires a bracha. Abu Dham.
So if you knew, it's only if you didn't know they were coming.
Of course. Otherwise, you were talking about a villain. I talked about the tzaddikim. Gedolei Ador. Rabbi Pessin, a shayla from the land of shaylas. Listen to a crazy case. A store owner says the following: I sell donuts, special donuts for Hanukkah, sufganiyot, gewaldik, not your regular jam. It's a hidur mitzvah type of a donut with all kinds of, I don't know, vanilla and chocolate cream inside, whatever you want. Each donut like this costs 8 shekels. Regularly, well, it's much less with the simple donuts, but this is 8 shekels. So he says one day he had a special mivtza, a special sale, and instead of 8 shekels, only 4 shekels. He wants to bring people into the store. Good. A few days after this sale, a young bachur comes in, and he doesn't look like he wants to buy anything. He's just embarrassed and upset. He goes over to the store and says, "Can I speak to you for a second?" Yeah? Takes it to the side, says, "Listen, I'm so sorry. I came to apologize. I stumbled. A few days ago, you had a sale. You invited people to come in, and the smell of the donuts. Gan Eden! I couldn't resist. I didn't have the money. I took 10 donuts to give to my family, and I came home, and I gave them. They were so excited, but then they said, 'Where did you get 80 shekels from?' And my father is no fool, and he started interrogating me, and he realized. I told him, listen, I acquired them. Kinyan Meshicha, without Kinyan Kesef. I did Meshicha, I told him, but no Kesef involved. My father immediately gave me 40 shekels to give you, and therefore I came here now to apologize. Please forgive me, and here's the money." And the store owner says, "Yashikoyach to you, I really appreciate it, but you still owe me another 40 shekels. He says, "Why?" "You publicized, your big signs are all over. 4 shekels today! So what did I take? I took donuts which are worth 4 shekels each, times 10, that's 40 shekels. He says, excuse me. The sale was for buyers, not for shoplifters. It's not a sale for ganavim. It's a sale for normal human beings. Honest, just, right, not for ganavim. What are you kidding me? The real price is 8 shekels. Imagine, he says to him, there's a store owner who sells a whole chicken for 1 shekel because he wants to bring people in. And somebody comes and steals the chicken. The value really is 20 shekels. You think he only has to pay 1 shekel because today he decided to sell it for 1 shekel? Obviously, the value of this chicken is 20 shekels. The value of this donut is 8 shekels, not 4. The fact that I reduced it for a few hours because I wanted to get some people in doesn't mean that you have to pay only 40 shekels. You have to pay 80 shekels. And the guy says, listen, I caused you a loss of 40 shekels because if it wasn't me stealing them, somebody else would buy them for 40 shekels. So how much did I cause you to lose? 40 shekels. So maybe I don't have to spend more than 40 shekels. Shimuna Rabboisai, Dayani Mumchim, Achloikes. What do we do? 80 shekels. 160 shekels?
No, I mean...
Oh, 80. The real value. Why?
Because he's gonna know, double, he's to pay double.
Double, that's in Beis Din. We don't do that today. No. He wants to know between the two what he should pay. The real value is what? 8. What about... What?
It's not the real value. The real value, 8 is how much he needs.
8 is what I normally sell it. Today I sold it for 4. To whom? To people who want to buy it, not to Ganavim.
But normally selling is not the value. If he's selling at a hezek, the 8 shekel adds to paying for the air conditioning and or the heater in the store also, and the lights, and the paying for his salary of the people. That's not the value of the donut. The donut is different value.
So when you steal something from a store, you don't have to pay according to the value that they sell it at? Market value. What about...
Sold out. He sold out his full supply.
Yeah?
Then that guy took another 40 shekels like he would have gotten. Had he not, he had leftovers anyways.
So what's the difference? Anyways, you wouldn't sell it.
He took it.
What's the raya for what you're saying? Where'd you get this from? Did you go to Bab Metziat Tes Amud Beis, and that's where you got it from? I think you did. Let's explain what it means. The Gemara tells us a story. There were sabalim. What are we going to call sabalim? Schleppers. They helped the store owner. Porters. They helped the store owner carry the barrels of wine. They were negligent, and they destroyed one barrel of wine. The whole thing spilled, and the price on the market day is 5 zuz. Let's switch it to dollars. $5. Non-market days, where there's much less demand, it's only 4 zuz, only $4. What should they pay? $4 or $5? They destroyed it when the market value is 5. It says some kind of a similar to our case. A regular price, and then there's a market. There's a market day where everybody comes. Less demand, more demand. When I invite people, there's more, there's less. Here it's the reverse, because I invite more people and I reduce the price. That's just I want to bring people into my store. But the idea is the same. So how much do these porters have to pay? $5 or $4? $5. Always? Can they say, you know what, I don't want to pay you. I'm going to give you back a barrel of wine. You're saying yeah? Let's see what the Gemara says. The deen is like this. If they pay him on the market day or just before, they can pay him either a barrel of wine or $5. If they pay him other days, non-market days, they still have to pay him $5 and they cannot give him a barrel of wine. Why can't they give him a barrel of wine? The porter can say to the store owner, you know what, why don't you take this barrel of wine and just wait. One day there will be another market day, next month there will be another one. They're not allowed to steal it. It's very similar to what he's saying. Why? This deen that they have to pay after the market day, $5, it's only if the store owner was missing wine. He sold everything and he could have sold this as well. But if he had extra wine and he didn't sell it, so then he cannot say, listen, I could have made a bundle here. You broke it for me. Because he didn't sell what he had. And therefore, the porters can actually give a barrel back. So the Rishonim have a machlokes about the sugya in Shas. What exactly does this mean? They have a lot of different questions. When exactly do the porters break the barrel? When do they have to pay 5? When can they give a barrel of wine? When is it sufficient to say, you know what, give $4 and that's also good? There's major 3 shitos regarding this. The shita of the Rosh. Whether the person is a mazik, cause damage, or whether he's a thief, he has to pay like the time, kish'as hagzeila or hapshia. Whatever it is in the time that you damaged the goods, that the value back then, that is what you have to pay. And we don't care if the value of it moved up or down. The Rambam says, a mazik, a person who damaged, has to pay like the value at the time that he pays. You come back 2 weeks later, 2 years later, and there's inflation, so you have to pay according to the new value. The Gazlan, according to the Sh'asa Gzeila, according to the time that he stole it. And even though it moved up in value, or it devalued, doesn't make a difference, he pays Kish'asa Gzeila. According to Rashi, according to the Ktsois HaChoshen's understanding, if at the time of Gzeila, everybody knows this thing will move in price, tomorrow is the market day, or for whatever reason, this item will move up in price, he has to pay because of Dina de Garmi. Grama is indirect damage. Garmi is a more direct damage, and we force a person, even though he only damaged him in an indirect way, but it's a much more direct type of a damage than the grama, he has to pay it. Because of that, he has to pay the new value that will be the following day in the market day. Going back to our case, at the time that he stole the donuts, they were worth 40 shekels. Lichoira, we should say he has to pay 80. Why 80? It's not like the person who destroyed the barrel of wine, that the price is, let's say, 4 shekels, because he only has to pay 4 shekels. Because the real value of these donuts are 80 shekels. And only because of the sale, I'm willing to reduce it to 4 shekels. And yet, in our case, Lekule Alma, he only has to spend 40 shekels and not 80. Why? The donuts that you sold today, you wouldn't be able to sell tomorrow if they were left over. What are you saying? I caused you a loss? You wouldn't be able to sell it. They were dry, stale donuts. Who would buy yesterday's donuts for 8 shekels? Nobody would do that. So if this person wouldn't steal them, you would be able to sell them and get what? You would get only 4 shekels per donut. So what loss did I cause you? The most that I cause you is 40 shekels. So the most I have to pay is 40 shekels. If it would be something that I can sell tomorrow, it was a dreidel, doesn't expire, doesn't become stale, and you have some donuts left over, and you sold, let's say it's a donut that's time resistant, it doesn't expire after a day, and you sold them the following day for 80 shekels, so then the guy who stole it, he would have to spend the entire 80 shekels we have to spend, because that's the real value of these donuts. And the store owner did the sale only for customers who want to buy, not for ganavim. So when you do a special sale, it's for people who actually want to spend money, not for ganavim. For ganavim, the real price stays at 80. If you come in and say, my name is the ganav, can I have it for 4 shekels as well? I don't think any store owner will say, sure, why don't you take it for 4 shekels? The store owner says, ganavim have a special rate. It's called 8. Mimir, according to this, in this case, the ganav will have to pay back only 40 shekels. And the Hashem Hashar like this should only be la halacha, and not le maise. Good Shabbos, Rabbi Pessin.
What happens if the exchange rate